Hello, welcome back. I have some more quilts to show. I have 4 quilts that I found. Two, well, one is a sort of a winter theme. One is any season, but maybe patriotic. And I've got 2 that are spring. Since it's now spring, let's look at them. This is very old. I mean, one of my first that I made. And it's a 4-block tulip. Let's see if I can get this in. What do you think? I've got, in the quilting, I've got a tulip in the middle. Let's see if we can get this to show. There we go. See that hand quilting? And then the others, it looks like they were just outline stitched about 1/8 of an inch away. So these are pieced, but then there's also some applique. I always do hand applique, the turn, you know, the needle turn applique, and I can see it's kind of frayed, kind of coming apart a little bit. Like I say, this was a very early adventure. Didn't really know what I was doing, but I learned a lot from it. And there's another piece of flower, I think, being, yeah, just here it is. A little bit of a tulip in the corners. So, but I like the colors. I like the tulips. I think I would like to make this one again. Originally, I had it as a wall hanging. I had a house in Florida. It was very bright, very, very tall ceilings. And so I had a quilt hanger, and I used to rotate some of my quilts. So this was a good size to have on the wall. And I'm recognizing some of these fabrics that I still have to this day and I still use. So yeah, if you've got some older fabrics in your in your drawer, excuse me, if you've got some older fabrics in your drawer and you can't remember where you got them, what you made them on, look at some of your past quilts. You'll find them. Now, another one of my favorite quilts, I mentioned this once before. I made my son a bow tie quilt when he was very, very little. And I have yet to find that and pull it out. I think I've tucked it away for safekeeping somewhere, but I haven't come across it yet. So that's still to come. But I loved making the bow ties. And one day I just had this desire to get out some 30s fabrics and make some more bow ties. This quilt I don't love as much. This I did this gray, well, I guess it's more of a blue. This blue background alternating with the white, because I wanted to see what effect that would have. And I don't know, it's somewhat busy for me. And then I have the colors as blues and greens, and those are fine, but I don't really like the pinkish red next to the yellow, and this one kind of fades away. So, as far as a quilt to keep you warm, it's great, but it's not one of my all-time favorites. Simple quilting, I just did, easier to see on the back oftentimes. I just did just a simple, like a cabled kind of design. And then I did enough in the center just to hold it down. This again was a wall hanging. This was a quick, let's get it done, quilted enough that it stays together and hang it on the wall. So, but I must say, I do like this blue fabric. There's some of the green. But if you take the bow tie Let's get a nice color here. This is the bow tie. It's got two solid colors in opposite corners, and then in these others it's like a snowball. So it's very forgiving. It's a very forgiving block because then when you're joining it together, you've just got these solid blocks on the outside. And if this were to be more here or more here, it really wouldn't make any difference. So very forgiving. But I do like bow tie quilts, and I will make another. I don't think I would join it into this circular fashion because I didn't really like that as well. And I kind of like the simplicity of the same background. I saw a quilt. I think what prompted this was I saw a quilt that had some backgrounds were white and some backgrounds were cream. And I liked the effect of that. I've also seen it where it's more of a cream and then more of a tan, and that's nice too. But for this, I have a nice quilt. It's a nice warm quilt. A lot of people love using it. It's never been one of my favorites, but I don't hate it either, if that makes any sense. I'm always saying, oh, I love this. It's one of my favorites. This is not one of my favorites. But let's get to one of my favorites. This was called the 4th of July quilt because, simply, I went shopping with a friend a long time ago, and I picked out all these fabrics at one of those big box stores on their 4th of July sale. So we went out on the 4th of July. I bought blues. I've got this red too. I don't know if I bought that on the same trip or not, but this is a very big quilt. This is a queen size quilt. So I won't show you all of it because it's all basically the same, but it's this lovely churn dash. And I could have butted them all up against each other, but I kind of liked the pop of red coming through, and that is echoed in the binding. I just love this one. Let me see if I can get farther back. I've got a cat hanging on to it, and there's a cat on my stool, so can you see more of it? Hopefully you can. So, and this is quite heavily quilted. I've got quilting in the borders. I've got quilting in the middle. I've got a little flower in the middle. A diamond-shaped quilt pattern in here. Let's see if we can see some more of it. I don't know if this is going to show up. I've got a cat that's inside of the quilt, so it's hard to move it. Let's see if some of this shows. Hey, Jeb, out of the quilt. Out of the quilt. Cats love it. So can you see more of the quilting? Maybe you can, maybe you can't. But this is definitely one of my favorites. I bring this out in the summertime. It's not too heavy. It's one of these very, very thin quilts. I'm not sure if that's gonna show you exactly, but it's quite thin, which made it easier for me to quilt. And so it's not a terribly warm quilt. This cat, oh my gosh, he loves the quilt. I'm worn out. But let me show you another quilt. This again is another favorite. This is the winter themed one. And this is stars. Oh, I love this one. And this is another one that's pretty heavily quilted. It's nice and warm. And the theme of this fabric, this was fabric that I bought all together. The theme was wear warm clothes. Some of the blocks have writing. Let's see if I can find one. I'm not going to be able to find one, but it said wear warm clothes. And we've got we've got socks and long johns and, you know, things of that nature. Here's one of my, and I've washed this one many times, so it's terribly soft. And here's another good shot of the quilting. Do you remember, I'm not sure if you guys would remember, but I had a pink and green quilt that had a beautiful border. It looked like ribbon. This is that same block. The half square triangle on one side, and then on the other side it's got the square flanked by these two. But just because I didn't position it so that it would be like the other, so that it would be ribbon like. These are just sewn together as a nice colorful edging. And then I've got my favorite ticking fabric on the back, and you can see how well loved this is. It's been out a lot, draped over sofas. It's faded with the sun. There's a few bits where the fabric ripped, and I darned a little bit. Here's where one of my kids was, or maybe even it was me, and ink from a Sharpie or something got on it. It's well loved. It's well used. And again, it looks like it's thin, but it's actually not. It's a little bit poofy. Not too much. It's not comforter level, but it's got a little bit of a poof so that it's really nice and warm. And again, this is queen size. I usually have this out in the winter, doubled over. Sometimes I sit under it quadrupled, and it's so nice and warm. I love the colors. I think what really does it for me are the colors. And in that bow tie that I showed, I don't like the pinks, the pinky red next to the yellow. These, you can't go wrong. They're all the greens, the rusts, the blues, you know, they all go together. I think it's wonderful. So I'd have to say this really is one of my favorites. The 4th of July quilt I love, but I don't have it out that often. Obviously, over the 4th of July, I don't need to sit under a quilt. So I just kind of have it on my bed as more of a decoration than anything. But this I use from November until March. It's out pretty much full time. And you know, I have sewn bits that have come unraveled. You're going to do that on a quilt that's well loved and well used. You're going to have to make repairs every now and then. Sometimes I pull it, you know, pull it over me, and there's a book on it or a cat or something, and you hear something kind of rip a little bit, whether it's the fabric or a seam, or, you know, it's going to happen. You know, if you're going to make the quilts, you've got to understand that they're going to be used, and that's what I like. So the imperfections, the rips, the tears, the love, I don't mind. But thought I'd leave you 3 of my favorite colors together. Green and blue are all-time favorites. Green and blue with a little bit of something. In this case, it's this nice sort of rustish, reddish, brownish. But yeah. So this one I call Wear Warm Clothes because of, you know, what's written on one of them, one of these blocks. But it was done so long ago, I can't even direct you to even who this fabric was by. I don't even remember where I bought the fabric. Probably at Joann. But anyway, so that's the quick update, the latest on my quilts. I've been catching up with some things. I've been kind of AWOL, and I'm all done with all of that stuff that I've been working on, kind of stealth projects that I can't really show. Today, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out that little pink and blue and green quilt that's for my granddaughter, and I'm going to sit for the rest of the day and just quilt. And then later on tonight, it's become a routine. If this is new to you, I always tune in to Sew Becca. My granddaughter's name is Rebecca, and her parents have been calling her Becca. So I like to join Sew Becca. And she's wonderful. She lives not too far away from me. She's a fellow Virginian. I don't know her at all. But you know, she does a live, like a 2-hour live on Friday evenings. I'm East Coast in the United States, and so, you know, if you're in a different time zone, you know, but she does a live and she just sews. And it's very relaxing to sit with your sewing and watch somebody else sew. So I think that probably today is going to be a quilting day, not a sewing day, not a knitting day, not a stitching day, but a quilting day. And I'm going to get after that quilt because I've got 2 other quilts behind it waiting to be quilted, and when I've got a good handle on those, then I can start sewing something again, even though, you know, that's a lie. I'm going to start sewing anyway because I've made it no secret that I want to start the barn sampler quilt. And so I think I might get that going at some point. And so when I do, when I have more progress to show, I will be back. But until then, have fun with your own piecing, stitching, quilting, whatever it is that you're doing. Have fun with it. Take pride in what you do because it really, really is an accomplishment. We get so wrapped up in, oh, this isn't perfect, or I was watching a video and they do it so much better than I do, or faster, or, you know, whatever, fill in the blank. But there are so many people that just, they can't do it, or they refuse to try, or, you know, it's all of this is a different language to them. It's a different world. And take pride in that you are very, very successful at what you're doing. You've sewn something, you've made something, you've enjoyed it, you've given enjoyment to others. Take pride in that. I'm trying to take more pride in what I do, rather than seeing the faults in everything. You know, don't look for the errors. They're going to be there, and that's what makes it nice. I think I read not too long ago something to the effect of I would rather see the imperfections in a piece of handwork than to look at all the mass production perfection in the world. And it really I'll try to get a more precise quote if I can, but it really is true. If you are hand making something, it's never going to be as perfect as if a machine made it. And that's what we like. So embrace all of your imperfections. Embrace, you know, when you've had a stressful week and your stitches are kind of conky, you know, you're going to look back on it years to come and you're going to remember, oh my gosh, what I went through and how much stronger I became as a result of it. But anyway, we're digressing off the topic of quilting. So have a good week. Have fun, whatever you do, and I will see you again really soon.